fifth grade. Today we are getting back into the swing of things and we are starting our next unit. So today we are starting unit 4, and unit 4 is all about multiplication. We will first start with multiplying just normal, regular whole numbers, and then from there we will get to some multiplication with decimals. And then when we get to unit 5, then we'll work on division. So unit 4 is just focusing on multiplication. So today we're going to do lesson 4.1, which is over multiplication patterns. And we are just going to jump right in and you will catch the hang of it pretty quickly. I know this is hard to read on the screen, but I'm going to read it out loud so that will help you. Jordan earns $243 a week. The money is shown at the right. Answer the questions about how much he will earn over time. So Jordan works and every week he earns $243. Question number 1 says, after 10 weeks, how much will Jordan have earned? How would we figure out how much he earns in 10 weeks if we know he earns $243 a week and we want to know 10 weeks? We would just take 243 and we would times it by 10. Notice I wrote this out sideways because we're going to use a little trick to help us. Anytime we're multiplying by numbers that have a 0 in the back, we can cover up the 0. Now what problem do we have? 243 times 1. Well, that's easy. What is 243 times 1? That's 243. And how many zeros did I have covered up? 1, so I add 1 0 back here. Then all I need to do is figure out if I need a comma. This one does need a comma right here. And I'm going to put my dollar sign since we're talking about money. So in 10 weeks, Jordan earns $2,430. It's a lot faster to multiply using that zeros trick than having to stack it up and work it all out. Let's see if we can answer number 2 using that same trick. After 100 weeks, how much will Jordan have earned? Okay, so remember he earns $243 in 1 week times, we want to know how much in 100 weeks. And we're going to use that same trick. Cover up our zeros. What problem does that leave me with? 243 times 1, so that would just be 243. I'm going to write that down. And how many zeros do I need to add behind that? 2, because I had 2 zeros in my problem. Then I have to figure out where my comma would go. It would go right here and my dollar sign. So that means in 100 weeks, he earns $24,300. And last but not least, it says, after 1,000 weeks, how much will Jordan have earned? Well, remember, he earns $243 in 1 week, and we want to know, so times 1,000 weeks. Use that trick, cover up all those zeros at the back. 243 times 1 is just 243. And how many zeros do I need to add in this time? 3 of them. Whoa. Where would my comma go? Behind the 3. So $243,000 in 1,000 weeks. That's quite a bit of money. I would take that. Alrighty, good work. Let's move down here. We're going to look at some decimals, and we're going to use that same zeros trick to help us out. Okay, so this time it says, it costs $0.412 for a factory to make a red phantom marble. The money is shown here. So it costs them $0.412, so less than 50 cents to make one of the marbles. How much does it cost to make 10 red phantom marbles? Well, remember, it costs $0.412 to make 1 marble, and we want to know 10, so we're going to times that by 10. Now, for decimals, we can use the same kind of trick. So cover up that 0. 0.412 times 1 just stays the same. So I'm going to copy down those numbers, 0.412, but I'm not going to put my decimal point yet. Just copy down the numbers. Then, however many zeros there are, that's how many places I move the decimal point backwards. So there's 1 0. I need to take this decimal point and move it backwards 1 spot. So instead of being here, it needs to be back 1 more spot right here. And this is money. How would I say that money amount? $4.12. So to make 10 marbles, it cost them $4.12. So notice we didn't add zeros behind here. The number of zeros tells me how many spots I move that decimal backwards. Let's try another one. How much does it cost to make 100 red phantom marbles? So remember, to make 1, it costs 0.412, and we want to know 100 of them. So cover up those zeros. 0.412 times 1 is just going to stay the same. So 0.412. Remember, don't put your decimal. Then I'm going to look at my zeros. I have 2 zeros. So what needs to happen to that decimal? It needs to move back 2 spots. So we're going to move it back 1, 2. So it would be behind the 1. And then I'm going to add a 0 here because remember, money usually has 2 numbers behind the decimal. How would I say this money amount? $41.20. So to make 100 of their red phantom marbles, it cost them $41.20. Not bad. All right, let's look at one more like this. How much does it cost to make 1,000 red phantom marbles? So remember, 1 costs 0.412, and we want to know 1,000 of them, how much that would cost. Cover up those zeros. Remember, times 1, that's just going to keep us the same numbers. And instead of adding zeros, I'm going to count. I have 3 zeros, so I need to move my decimal point backwards 3 spots. So 1, 2, 3, it's going to be right here behind the 2, and I'm going to add 2 zeros so that it looks like money. Ooh, how much money does it cost them to make 1,000 marbles? $412. So I use the same trick with decimals, but instead of adding zeros to the back of the numbers, I just move my decimal point that many spots backwards. And we'll keep practicing with that as we go throughout this unit. All right, we have a little bit more to look at for today too, so I'm going to flip back here. Let's do a little quick practice of what we were just working on. So number 1, I have 912 times 100. Cover up those zeros. What is 912 times 1? That is 912. Write it down. And how many zeros do I need to add at the back? 2 of them because I had 2 covered up. Figure out where that comma goes. And you're good. 91,200. No dollar sign because that wasn't money. It was just regular numbers. All right, what about number 2? 700 times 10. Ooh, both of these have zeros, so cover up all the zeros. And that leaves me with 7 times 1. 7 times 1 is 7. And then how many zeros do I need to add behind that 7? 1, 2, 3 zeros because I had 3 covered up. And then put my comma where it needs to go. 7,000. So the zeros trick makes it a lot quicker than having to actually multiply all that out. Number 3, I can do the same thing. It's just stacked up. So cover up those zeros. That leaves me with 6 times 3, which is 18. And how many zeros do I need to add behind that? 2 of them. Put my comma where it needs to be. And there we go. Number 4, 6,000 times 30. Cover up all those zeros. Still leaves me with 6 times 3, which we said was 18. How many zeros should I put behind that 18? 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros up there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And get my comma where it needs to be. Right there. 180,000. All right, one more thing we need to talk about for lesson 4.1 is exponents and powers of 10. So remember when we did Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally earlier this year, we talked about exponents, but we didn't really use any of them. Today, we're really going to use them. So this is a little bit hard for you to see on the screen, but if you look close, I have a big 10 and then a little tiny 2. Remember that little 2 is called an exponent. When I read this, this is 10 to the power of 2. Okay, I say power of and then whatever that little number is. So 10 to the power of 2. This number, the little number, tells me how many times I should multiply my big number. So this tells me I should do 10 2 times. So 10 times 10. That's what that exponent means. And what is 10 times 10? That would be 100. So 10 to the power of 2 is 100. Okay, let's try number 2. 10 to the power of 5. So that 5 tells me I'm going to multiply 10 5 times. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Whew. Now, to figure out what that would be, cover up all those zeros in your mind there, and that leaves us with 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. Well, 1 times 1 would be 1, and then count your zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put my comma. So 100,000. 10 to the power of 5 is 100,000. All right, now they want us to go backwards with it. They're going to give us a problem. So on number 3, 9 times 10 times 10 times 10. And we have to make that with an exponent. So 9 times, how am I going to write 10 times 10 times 10 as an exponent? Well, it's 10 to the power of 3 because I have 3 of them. Remember, this little number just tells me how many of them I'm multiplying. So 9 times 10 to the power of 3. Let's try this one, number 4. 3 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So I know I'm doing 3 times 10 to the power of what? What is my exponent going to be? 4, because there's 4 of them. Remember, we make our exponents little small. I should be able to tell that it's an exponent, not another regular number. All right, and number 5, 6, and 7, we're going to do some multiplying with exponents. So I have 62 times 10 to the power of 2. So cover up that 0 and that exponent just like we were. That leaves me with 62 times 1. What is 62 times 1? That would be 62. Now, this power up here, this little exponent, tells me how many zeros there should be. Like, let's take a look back up here. When I had 10 to the power of 2, my answer had 2 zeros. When I had 10 to the power of 5, my answer had 5 zeros. So that little power tells me how many zeros I should have. So this has a power of 2. So how many zeros should I add back here? 2. And then I'll put my comma where it needs to be. Okay, let's try another one. So cover up that 0 in the exponent. That leaves me with 1 times 1, which is 1. And then pay attention to your power. How many zeros do I need to add after to get my answer? 4 of them, because it's 10 to the power of 4. And that 4 tells me I need 4 zeros. And I put my comma where it needs to go, which would be 10,000. All right, one more to finish us out here. 2 times 10 to the power of 3. So cover up that 0 in the exponent. 2 times 1 is 2. Pay attention to your power. How many zeros do I need? 3 of them, because it's to the power of 3. And then I put my comma, so that would be 2,000. So using that zeros trick, multiplication goes pretty quickly. Today on your homework assignment, you aren't going to have any exponents. We will keep practicing with those. And you're not going to have any decimals either. We will keep practicing with those. Your homework is going to look more like what we did up here. Just taking regular numbers, using that zeros trick to cover up, and then to add them back on the end. So go ahead and work on your assignment. Good luck. Do your very best. Make sure to take your time. Bye.